what's up, guys? It's Jamie. I'm just doing a quick video. I'm in my car. I'm actually in a loaner car because my car is getting new wheels, new tires, and new brakes and rotors, and an oil change and a new oil sensor. I was gonna buy out another car. I was gonna buy another new car, and I was mathing it out. I just said, I had a lease, and I think I'm just gonna buy out my lease, and that's why I'm doing that. So. Picked up the girls. I'm going to go do a couple quick errands, as usually what happens on my days off. But I want to talk to you about UVXY. And before I get into the UVXY, I will tell you that for USO, wow, down 12% now. I had gotten out of that, and I will get back in because on the daily chart, if I go over here, and I looked at that RSI, you can see if you look, over there. Oh, wait, let me go back up. You look down here, you can see how it's kind of over that 70, and generally when it gets into the 70, 80 range, it pulls back. So I said, let me just take profits. I didn't have many. I only had like 10 or 11 shares, and I was thinking about buying 100, but you can see there where it kind of really gone up. And they say, I think if you do the chart, if you study charts, they say when you see that little cross, that means I think it means it's going to go in the different direction. It's a reversal. That's what they call it, reversal. Now, I'm not 100% on that. I'm not a financial advisor. Just this guy, middle-aged guy, father of four, investing, friends, family, etc. Okay? So you can see then it pulled back. It actually fell down quite hard. So it was up at $87 each, and that's when I got out. Not at the very, very top, but right around 87 bucks. So I made a little bit of money, and if you want to see that, just to prove USO, or is it... This is Robinhood, USO, one of the platforms that I use. And in Robinhood, you can see your transactions when you go to the history. So it says I bought it at $809, right? And I bought one other share. So I was in it for $80.95, roughly. 10 shares, and I bought one extra share. And then when I sold it, back down. They were about 87, I believe. Let's see. 87, right? Yeah. So that lines up with what I said. So I made about $6-ish, roughly $6, $7. So again, on 11 shares. So 11 shares, $7 isn't a lot of money, but I wanted to get in 100. I think because of the whole reason I got in it is because when I went to bring my daughters to school, I had to put some gas in. I remember, hey, the day before it was like 3 something. Now it's 4 something. So what's going on in Ukraine, and my family stands with Ukraine. I figured that's part of the reason. So that's why I got into the UVXY, which is what I'll get into here. So on Robinhood, for anybody that kind of stumbles over here, I am trying to take this account back up to 10 grand, and then I take profits. But this time, I'm going to try to get to 100 before the end of the year. I don't know if I'll do that, but that's kind of the game plan. So I do have other accounts, Webull, Thinkorswim, stuff like that. I really like Robinhood for option trading. Mostly I really do with it. So UVXY, before I get into that covered call, I want to show you the stock itself. So UVXY, it says I'm down 200, but really I'm probably down 100 or almost 100. You can see here, I'm down around almost 90 bucks. It says 200 because I was up, right? But I lost that. I wasn't able to sell the profit and lock it in like I like to do because I had a covered call with those 100 shares that expires on Friday that I would make $141. So if this number, gets lower than 141, then basically my week is like for nothing, right? It's because I'm at 88. Now, granted, the next week, it could go up, more, and I could recover that 141 that I made on the covered call. But the whole point of me doing this is usually, if you look over the past 5 years, at least on this chart isn't the best. Back when the government shut down in 2018, it kind of spiked up $600, $700, $800. And then, of course, when the international pandemic happened in 2020 in March, it went up over $900. In fact, if you go to like TradingView, which I like their charts a lot, it was over $1,200 a share. Now you figure, right now it's around $20. At that time, prior to that, it was in the hundreds, low hundreds, and same thing, prior to that. So I said, hey, let me buy 100 shares because if the world goes crazy with everything that's happening, maybe it pops up again. So 100 shares, maybe I'd make 10 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, something. I'm not expecting that, but it just seemed like for 2 grand, it wasn't a big risk. But what I learned over the past 6 months, mostly, is about selling premiums, selling covered calls and collecting premiums. So basically, if I average every week, if I sold like a $3, $4, $2 spread, depending on like what I'm willing to collect. So if I said, okay, right now it's at $20, it's at $19. If it went up to $23, I can make $124. Or if I went to 22.5, about the same as I did last week. So at 22.5, just for an example, you can see there's 324 people, hand raisers like to call them. They're like, hey, I'm interested in that contract. And there's been some volume there, for people getting in there. Now, I like the guy, Invest with Henry. There's lots of people that teach options, but I like him a lot. I think he does a really great job. If I'm not trying to teach you options. I learned it really from him and a couple other guys. So if I said, all right, I want to go ahead and do that, the spread here is pretty tight. Right? It's not like a $1 spread or a 50-cent spread. It's like less than 10 cents. So if I put if I was to sell my 100 shares at a $2.50, strike price, like that $22.50 for next week, I'm going to collect somewhere between $132 and $139, dollars, depending on what I'm willing to put in there. So in other words, if I said, okay, I'm going to sell that one contract at oh, come on, get down there. Oh, there we go. 1.38. I'd make $138. So whether the stock goes down to 17 or 18, I'm still going to make that $138. Or if it goes up, now you could sell it, you could buy it back before then, but I think I would stay in this for a couple weeks at least, maybe a couple months, just to see how it goes. And see if I can negate the losses if it happens, or just keep kind of collecting 100, 150 a week for my goal is two months ish, maybe 3 months, as the world kind of see what's going to happen with what's going on in Ukraine, right? Because that could lead into a bigger thing, which I don't want to get into that, but that's how it's affecting the market in my opinion. So UVXY, again, it's called Pro Shares Ultra VIX Short-Term Futures ETF. It's a mouthful, but it's based off the VIX, which is the S&P 500 Fear and Greed Index. So as it goes up, it goes down, and as it goes down, it goes up, right? Because it's basically based on that. So it's something to look at. A lot of volume today. Next time I'll talk about Upstart. Upstart, I think, is undervalued. I grabbed 10 shares to kind of dip my toes in it. I like this one. I mean, if you buy 100 shares, that's a little bit more money. But if you look at those covered calls for next week, you get a little bit more money. It's for, say, 118 to 220. Yeah, you're going to make about $700. But you got to pay almost $10,000 or $10,000 to buy 100 shares. But it's a better return each week, and that's kind of the way I want it. I want to get into that, the bigger game as I get more comfortable with this stuff. So I hope that helps you. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.